Anybody following the Chicago drill scene knows that in the past few months there's been a new star rising, whose appeal was based on the very same idea that made King Von so irresistible to many fans of the genre, a combination of personal charisma and a reputation that they really lived the life they rapped about. And what they most often rapped about was some of the most violent stories coming out of the most dangerous city in America. In a 3.5-hour video about King Von, it dawned on me that having allegedly killed at least 7 people, beaten the bodies, and then going on to brag about it to the whole world while actively planning more hits, he actually met the FBI's definition of a serial killer. And unfortunately, in recent months, another rapper has emerged who not only claimed to have killed more people than King Von, but also rapped about it and quite literally modeled his persona on other famous serial killers. I'm of course talking about BloodHound, or BloodHound Lil Jeff. But interestingly, unlike Von, who was seemingly in the streets since a child, Jeff would wildly claim that he had only gotten involved in the streets about 3 years ago when he turned 18 and graduated from high school, committing all of these alleged murders in a very short time span.
So around what age did you jump off the porch and start hanging out in the streets?
I'm gonna say when I came outside for real, I was like 18 type shit.
Okay.
I just turned like 18.
Jeff also became known for his equally wild antics that showed he was a complete loose cannon. For example, when he famously snorted crushed up pills during his DJU interview. Then there was the time he seemingly shot his gun towards someone during an Instagram live.
He did do that. He was like, they tweaking.
For their designer watches.
Hey, look up.
He said, yeah, they was tweaking.
I was going out, oh, we.
Like, folks,
I got on them diamonds and I still wore it. It's like, it's part of my tattoo. They don't know if that's a tattoo or real. Nah, they know.
To compare Lil Jeff to King Von is guaranteed to anger some people, and by no means was Jeff's star power or rapping abilities anywhere near that
Never
Von's.
close.
But then again, Von also had support from the biggest artist to ever rise from the drill scene, Lil Durk, and he was several years older than Jeff when his rap career took off. Furthermore, Von had already been in the streets for close to a decade, forming the reputation that would eventually help him to become the boogeyman of Chicago drill that he ended up being, as well as being an undeniable legend in the rap game following his untimely death in November 2020. Jeff, on the other hand, was still by all accounts very much still in the streets whilst he was trying to find his voice and talent on the mic. While Jeff's rapping style was controversial and divisive amongst fans of Chicago drill, there's no denying that Lil Jeff was evolving musically and becoming more and more comfortable in using his rather unique high-pitched voice. It kind of made him sound like the real-life Joker of Chiraq. When it comes to Lil Jeff and his alleged bodies, the rumors and theories tend to range from the absurd, suggesting that he's truly a demon catching these bodies, to pretty much complete denial that he ever killed anyone at all. But there's no doubt to me that Jeff was really in these streets though, with several videos circulating on Q50's Instagram years later showing that by 2024, Lil Jeff was indeed a hardened gangster riding around the city, constantly strapped with guns, ready to kill at a moment's notice. However, it would seemingly be a process of several years before he would become the hardened gang member he was known as today. In one of the earliest YouTube videos covering Jeff's alleged bodies, his rumored murder spree stretches all the way back to September 2014, with his first alleged body supposedly being an 18-year-old who went by the name Mally Mal, real name Kamal Burton, who was allegedly affiliated with the A-Tray mob. Although the murder itself would take place in the far south side in the Old Geld Gardens community, at the time Jeff would have barely been a 12-year-old boy, seemingly gifted in basketball. He would have been spending most of his days training for a career in the sport. Also, according to a CPD spokesperson, Mal was approached by 2 men who then opened fire. The idea of a scrawny 12-year-old Jeff being mistaken for a grown man in this case sounding pretty unlikely. But for further context, even Jeff's own brother Boogie would have still only been 16 years old at the time of Mal's murder, albeit he would arguably always look older than his age. In more time, we'll likely learn much more about Jeff in his younger years as things come out, but when it comes to his deeds in the streets, it's likely much more sensible to take his own account of his childhood seriously. As he would recount in his DJU interview, Jeff would allegedly truly get in the streets quite late in his life, around 2020, this being his last year in high school and graduation.
So around what age did you jump off the porch and start hanging out in the streets?
I'm gonna say when I came outside for real, I was like 18 type.
Lil bro sold in head for real.
However, this certainly doesn't mean
He
that Jeff's
can't
childhood
be
was
nobody
normal by any
nobody
of
look
broader
up to.
society standards.
If
Jeff
y'all
would
like a
also
young
open up to
nigga, y'all look
DJU,
up to
saying
that
his father
type,
was
like,
not in
go-
his life
both
growing up,
goofy.
as he too, quote
Like, niggas
unquote,
really
stood
flow
on
with Von,
business.
'cause
This perhaps being
the
a reference to Jeffrey
personality
Harris
and shit
Sr.'s
like
alleged
that,
time
you
in the
know?
streets with the
As far
068
as
C
you
block.
just
Back
catching
then, you weren't
bodies,
around.
Lil bro goofy sitting snorting and man, you gonna get wild. Like that's
So
gone
how did
after.
that affect you back then though? Not having pops around.
OG stood on business, so you know.
Look how fake he act.
But moreover, as we
I
know
remember
now,
that
Jeff's
interview.
big brother, Jay
He was
Boogie,
sitting there
clearly been in
snorting
the
a little
streets since at
pills,
least
and
the early 2010s,
he like, this
which would
that
seemingly
Tony
affect Jeff's life and his
Montana.
experiences
Man,
growing up
watch out,
significantly.
bro.
But I'm doing that. I've
Niggas
been seeing
spank
my
you
whole
for
life, you know
real.
what I'm saying? I told you I got an older brother, so this ain't nothing new for real. It's the same shit I've been seeing. Everything I was doing, I saw already.
One of these significant moments in the young Jeff's life would of course be witnessing the murder of Kenny Mack. Whilst another incident that affected Jeff growing up was his family house getting shot up with one of the bullets, according to Jeff, whizzing by right next to his head.
So can you tell us like who introduced you to the street life?
My brother.
Your older brother, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And how was he showing you the ropes?
Let me tell you, my crib got shot up when I was like 14. I was some stupid ass. The bullet that flew like right past my face. They had shot the back and the front. Then they blew the car up and set that on fire. It was busting. I ain't gonna lie, it was going on. That almost hit me, though. See what I'm saying, though? Shit like that play a part. All type of just seeing that shit every day. I was seeing it every day. See what I'm saying? So like everything they was doing, I was seeing that shit all the time, just like I'm doing right now. It's just I'm a part of it now, so it's different.
Now, it's important to remember that while Jeff would seemingly appear in the drill scene almost out of nowhere, he was always the product of his environment, and that environment being one of the most dangerous in the whole of Chicago during the 2010s and beyond. When it comes to Jeff's time in the streets after 2020, when he supposedly got involved with the BloodHounds heavy through his brother, there's still no shortage of alleged victims that are commonly or less commonly attributed to his supposed double-digit body count, with even the YouTuber who had originally published one of the first supposed body lists of Jeff spinning back with a new video sometime later, this time including only names post-2020. Lil Jeff's strategy of bragging about his insane body count in his songs and acting wild in his interviews was picking up steam. He'd already been going viral for his clip sniffing a pill on DJU, and on the 1st of June, a YouTuber called Blender Bars dropped a video that was reposted on Reddit claiming that Lil Jeff had indeed claimed his 11th body during his LA trip, claiming that he indeed did a drill between these two trips to Los Angeles, and being one of the earliest exposés of Lil Jeff's staggering stats as a Chicago gang assassin.
He claimed to have 10 bodies at least, and we have lyrics to match up with 2 of the bodies that he proudly claims after the ops supposedly hit a lick for some of his watches.
By June the 3rd, his music video for the track Should Have Saw It had 199,000 views, passing 200k the following day. Jeff was having the motion in music, and whilst this was only the beginning, he clearly had a lot of potential in the rap game. Unfortunately, however, as he often rapped himself, he was always more focused on the streets than the music, and only a few days later, he would end up on the wrong side of the sort of drills he usually was dishing out on the streets. On the 8th of June 2024, everything came crashing down for Lil Jeff and the BloodHounds in dramatic fashion. After countless lyrics about jumping out of the car as soon as he sees his ops and shooting at them, the 8th of June was a day like no other, and in surveillance footage that was later leaked, we saw this was another day when Jeff, Q50, and another man indeed caught one of their ops, jumping out of the car outside of an address on South Rhodes Avenue, a street that Jeff and his friends had boastfully rapped about shooting up numerous times before. In the footage, if you look at the very top left of the frame, you can see a door of a car opening. This is Lil Jeff jumping out of the car, and he immediately begins shooting at
The
a
way
man
he
wearing
got
bright yellow
whacked
shorts
is
who ducks
great.
behind a car and runs up a porch into a house whilst being chased by Jeff, who continues shooting at him. He would then
They're not
seemingly
gonna
be
show
chased
us
by
the
Jeff
video, but they
wearing a
always
black
show
Nike
us
Tech
the
hoodie
video.
and grey Nike Tech joggers and pointing a gun, with Jeff doing something that he had indeed rapped about doing numerous times, chasing an op into their own home. But at this point, Lil Jeff got something he didn't bargain for, as someone inside the house would
Came
begin
out
to
with
open fire on
fire.
Jeff, neutralizing him before he even made it up the steps, sending him flying back onto the ground at the bottom of the porch. And here on the ground, Jeff was reportedly shot numerous times, with the implication being that his shooters emptied a whole magazine into him from atop the porch. Then, we would see another angle from a different camera which recorded the sounds of the shots being fired into Jeff, as well as showing Q50 and another shooter, as well as the driver on the hit behind Jeff, walking to the porch and returning fire, with Q50 seemingly shooting at a passing car for some reason, likely in this moment earning himself an attempted murder charge. Some have suggested that the original target that Jeff had chased was talking to the person driving in the
You
car that
shooting
Q50
at
was
nobody.
shooting at as it drove past. Meanwhile, once the driver of the getaway car notices that Jeff has actually been killed on the ground, getting out to look, before all the men realize that it's too late to save Jeff, running back to the car, getting in, and fleeing the scene without Jeff, as shots continue to hit Jeff laying on the ground. Interestingly, another camera angle would later surface, showing that when Q50 initially ran towards the porch, he slipped over and fell as he tried to let off shots, injuring his ankle, with Q50 being seen with a limp as he ran back to the car. And while Jeff was laying on the ground, he would reportedly be hit 19 times, and an insane total of 58 shell casings would ultimately be found at the scene of the shootout. And after it all went down, reports of the shooting would begin to circulate on Twitter, and police scanner audio would describe
know
a
that's
chaotic
what
scene.
happened.
A later video by YouTuber Loyalty and Betrayal would
You don't
actually do
try
a
to
full
run
breakdown
up in
of the scanner audio.
nobody's safe zone.
302 Sam, we're hitting
Wow,
12
blown
road,
away.
6639 South Road.
They had the
Trace
fire
that.
on them.
Anybody go in there, be careful, this might be crossfire.
And, yep. Per 310, anybody heading over there to roads, use caution because this may be crossfire, and now we getting a person shot. 6647 South Roads.
Bro, just got
We got
right.
multiple casings, 6641
Yeah, little bro was tripping.
South Road.
He was just
the
fiending
front
too
porch
bad
and
for
sidewalk.
another body. And he was hot as hell.
6641 South Road on the front
Bro,
and
they
sidewalk,
blew him
front
away.
porch as well.
I ain't
6641
gonna
South Road.
lie. I was
Alright, they
eating
saying
some
somebody's
chicken
doing a
strips.
self-transport
and
right now.
some
They're telling my
jalapeno.
partner on the phone. We're trying to figure out what car took them. 306 Adam.
Yeah, 306 Adam. One of the residents at 6641 says they threw a guy in a car and they're on their way to the hospital. I got some blood drops on 6641.
Black SUV, Adam Lincoln King, 3937, Wisconsin Place, just dropped off a victim at UFC. They're going northbound on Maryland. It's a black SUV with Wisconsin Place, Adam Lincoln King, 3937.
They 19 time old, Jeff. That's crazy.
For a black SUV,
Excuse me.
Adam Lincoln King,
They whack little Jeff
3937
like
with
that.
Wisconsin Place. They just dropped off a
Filled him up with
victim at
19
UFC
of it.
that was shot. And that vehicle stolen.
Footage would later circulate showing the Chicago
course
police
it
combing the
was.
crime scene, placing a whole bunch of evidence markers where the many shell casings had been left. But interestingly, at the crime scene, Jeff's body was notably absent. That's because apparently Q50 and the other man seemingly took Jeff's body to the hospital after the shootout, somehow managing to spin the block, coming back and retrieving Jeff's body from the porch where he died without taking any more bullets themselves. An image would later go around online which seemingly showed Q50 and the other man carrying Jeff's body into the hospital. But it didn't take long for the dust to settle on the actual shooting before the footage of the shooting begun circulating on Reddit's Chiraqology subreddit, where many were quick to give their perspective on this wild modern-day shootout captured on camera, with many suggesting that Jeff and the BloodHounds had actually underestimated their opposition and ended up outgunned after being overzealous. As one commenter put it, honestly, the video puts it more out of the actual perspective of what it looked like in real life because cameras only see a certain angle. They actually were only like 20 foot behind him, with the car being like 80 foot at most. They were behind him, he just ran ahead and got overzealous and got blasted for it. Hindsight is 20/20, my G. Granted, they did turn back the minute they realized there was more opposition than they thought, but by that point, they were in a full-blown shootout. Dude in the red got hit, and they were in the middle of the road with only cars for cover. Once they realized they were outgunned and got to the car, is when Jeff got fully overkilled, and the dude in the white saw it all and let the switch off a few times in a futile attempt. No one's fault but Jeff, and he literally got instant karma. For those that knew Lil Jeff and his activities in the streets, they would know what was to come next. The day after his death, on the 9th of June 2024, Jeff's close family members and friends would react to his death with heartbreak, with some saying that they were staring at his picture in disbelief and saying that his brother Jay Boogie is going to lose his mind when he finds out the news. Jeff's dad posted throwback images of Jeff with his half-brothers together with the caption F the world. Q50 would say that his brother and twin is gone, but he's already done crying and planning to do exactly what Jeff told him to do. Vert would later discuss how Jeff's death affected him in a DJU interview where he seemed a little intoxicated and slurring, explaining that everything was still going on.
We saw, I guess, what happened on camera or whatever.
Oh, bro,
Lil Jeff
tweaking
lost his
or
life.
what?
How has that affected you, since?
That shit ain't gonna, it's brother, it's my twin. You know, I don't feel that shit hurt. It's my brother,
Yeah.
But it's like, I can't stop. For what? I'm gonna stop for. They want me to be stopped. They want me, This shit don't stop. It all gonna still go on. Brother gonna live through us, It's my brother. I feel with a big face painted on my shorty. You hear me? So I'm on right there.
At some point, a vigil and balloon release was held in Jeff's honor, and a day later, on the 10th of June, a BloodHound member would say that all the ops saluted Jeff for the work he put in on the streets and hinted towards revenge coming soon. And Jeff's dad would even respond on Facebook with an eerie post, saying, "Let it be known, y'all didn't get him, he came trying to get y'all, and what happened happened. But the saga continues, clear the streets." With some in the comments in disbelief that a father would be talking about his son like he was one of his homies in the gang, branding Jeff's father a goofy who actually failed his child. But Jeff's dad wasn't the only person with a connection to Jeff acting tough online. On the 18th of June 2024, a BloodHound member says that they are the reason that the ops merch it on their friends. Then, on the 22nd of June 2024, Lil Jeff's funeral would take place, and images would circulate on social media showing the flower arrangements in the funeral program, as well as pictures of Jeff in his casket going around online, whilst others shared supposed buttons giving out which called Jeff the Reaper. His girlfriend would seemingly drop the Y in front of his flower arrangement, and a moving tribute would be passed around from the service, which would tell all the details of his life, apart from the most salacious ones. It read, Jeffrey Lamar Harris, affectionately known as Lil Jeff, was born on July the 14th, 2002, at 11 a.m. to Latasha Lucas and Jeffrey Harris in Chicago, Illinois. From the moment he arrived, Jeffrey was a happy, intelligent baby who loved to laugh and bring joy to those around him. Jeffrey began his educational journey at CICS Longwood and graduated from Harold Washington Elementary School. He continued his studies at Kersey Metropolitan High School, graduating in 2020, and later took online classes at Daly College. Basketball was one of Jeffrey's greatest passions, and he spent his summers playing with AAU and dedicated his free time to the court, continuing his basketball career through his junior year of high school. Another favorite pastime was video gaming, where his friends fondly remember his eyes being glued to the screen. Lil Jeff was known for his deep affection and kind-hearted nature. He had a generous spirit, always willing to give his last to someone in need, and his silly side showed through his jokes and funny stories, leaving a lasting impression on anyone who spent time with him. Music was another of Jeffrey's passions, and his talent in analyzing and performing music earned him a record deal. His suave sense of style ensured that he was always in the latest fashion and newest shoes. Family was everything to Jeffrey, and he adored his niece, Ja'ala. He was always drawn back home, craving his mother's affection. Jeffrey was truly the life of the party, bringing joy to his family and friends. In 2021, Jeffrey met Peyton, and they became inseparable. Despite their growing pains, their love for each other was deep and genuine, with Peyton holding a special place in his heart. Jeffrey performed his last concert and walked into eternity on June 8, 2024. He was preceded in death by his grandmother, Regina, and loving cousins, Jamarion and Zaire. And Jeffrey leaves behind to cherish his memory, his mother, Letitia, and his father, Jeffrey Sr.,
Regina,
grandmother Sherry, his aunts Tequila, Nakia, Tisha, Alicia, Deneen, his uncle Brandon, his brothers John, Jakari, Tradari, his nieces Aubrey and Jaya, and his girlfriend Peyton, and a host of family, friends, and loved ones. Thank you for attending his last concert. Long live Lil Jeff. But the funeral wouldn't be without drama, however. Apparently, a fight would break out between some women who had been attending the service, with clips circulating online amid rumors that Jeff's girlfriend and his side chick had been involved in an altercation. Whilst Jeff had been laid to rest, the beef was far from over, and disrespect would still fly from surviving members. Vert apparently made a mural for Jeff, with 8-Tray Mob members recording themselves destroying it, followed by reports that 2 men from 8-Tray Mob were shot in retaliation within 3 hours. But despite Lil Jeff no longer being a threat on the streets, his music would continue bringing his murderous energy to the streets of Chicago, even after life. Just days after his funeral, Lil Jeff's first and only full-length album would be released posthumously, and the project would be released under the label Grade A Productions, started by infamous former Chicago street rapper Lil Bibby, the same label responsible for releasing much of Juice WRLD's brilliant catalogue. Now I know some people are going to hate me for saying this, but I feel that this album, Steppin' in Blood, is one of the greatest Chicago drill albums or projects ever produced. It's not just because of the demonic and violent content, but Lil Jeff's whole flow and delivery throughout this project, combined with the very unique Chicago drill beats that are reminiscent of the golden era of the genre, make Steppin' in Blood an incredible time capsule that both reaches back into the past of the early days when Chicago drill music was sonically completely original and not watered down or manufactured, as well as the lyrical content maintaining on the cutting edge of the modern era of drill and street rappers, obsessed with ultra violence and committing murder just so that they can rap about it. It's like something out of A Clockwork Orange, but it's set in Chicago and now. The project is hyper aggressive from its very first track, which is interestingly a studio remastered remix of Lil Jeff's classic song, Ah, improving the audio quality as well as adding a verse from former No Limit street brother of Lil Bibby's and Chicago drill legend in his own right, G Herbo. But after Herbo's track ends, the first new song off the tape is the booming track Spot News, named after Chicago's infamous Twitter account that tweets police scanner info reporting the shootings in the city literally as they just happen, something that Lil Jeff seemed to trigger numerous times. The beat for Spot News is booming and reminiscent of the early days of Chicago drill when it was melodically heavily influenced by Atlanta trap. The mixing and mastering is on point and the drums shake the room before Jeff jumps on the track with his lazy flow, perfectly complementing the beat with back-to-back bars describing his lifestyle of being a killer in the streets with an effortless but impactful delivery. You can almost smell the pills on his breath. And the way Jeff raps about violence in this song make it seem like it's completely casual and he's fully unbothered, which perfectly captures his personality in the streets. Killing and rapping about it was just a normal day at the office to Lil Jeff at this point in his life. He raps about seeing ops, immediately pulling down his mask and jumping out the car, something we saw him literally do on the day he died, and rapping about putting people's faces on the news and the shootings he was responsible for being posted, on Spot News. He seemingly refers to having got revenge for Z-Money's death and saying the get back isn't a big deal, and he's got bars about stealing the very same watches that he wore in his early music videos. He would appear to refer to the murders of Monty and Lil Rob numerous times on the song, rapping that he does things twice and rapping how 2 people died on one hit. Jeff's laid-back delivery sees him float through the track with finesse, and if you weren't paying attention, you might not realize that every single bar is painting a vivid and violent picture of his life as a demon in the streets of Chicago. The next song on the tape, Lost My Gun, takes on a completely different vibe sonically, as this beat has a much more ambient and creepy melody that makes you feel like you're creeping up in the dark to surprise your op from behind rather than jumping out of the car blasting them in the face. Jeff starts the track with a hook that's just as haunting, rapping, "Damn, I don't think you know how it feels, jumping out with the chopper like you with the Navy SEALs, waking up early morning like it's time to go kill." We know that Jeff was really doing these things, and it's true. I really don't know what it feels like to live that life, but over the course of the song, Jeff proceeds to tell the listener exactly how it really feels to live the demonic gangbanging lifestyle that he's got himself wrapped up in, painting a vivid picture in excruciating detail of what it actually feels like to be in Lil Jeff's shoes. He raps about jumping out on the ops, popping them like pills, and we knew he was really doing both of those things. And he would go on to give an interesting insight into the dilemma he was facing before his death as his music career was taking off, mentioning how he was being offered record deals and explaining that people keep telling him to rap, but because of his pride, he wants to continue drilling and killing people in the streets.
I told you
any labels been reaching out to you for any offers? What you telling them? How much they got to come for Lil Jeff?
They know. I be telling them. They know. I talk to them and tell them.
Yeah.
I ain't going for no. Just know that.
Word.
They talk to me though. They know. They know what I be telling them.
It's a surprising level of self-awareness and quite prophetic considering what actually happened to Jeff. And in the next line, Jeff would seemingly predict his death, rapping that he's going to die before he gets arrested. On the next track titled On My Wrist, featuring fellow bloodhound Vert, Jeff would rap boastfully that you can't hop in this car if you never killed nothing, and wearing black Nike Air Forces while walking down his ops and killing them. The next track, the LA Freestyle, was another reference to Jeff's time spent in LA, with this song having one of Jeff's most demonic bars referring to the murders of Monty and Lil Rob, with him rapping, "I know 2 ops didn't graduate," and saying that there's nowhere safe and that he smokes people downtown. On the song, he would also rap about getting watches for free and claiming to have stolen a total of 5 watches and 3 chains in his robbing career. He would also make reference to killing people in Milwaukee, giving some more proof to the rumor that he was carrying out contract killings in another state, as well as explaining the exact circumstances of his death, rapping, "He ain't shooting out of cars, he's chasing people on foot." The next track would be a song teased previously, but now updated with a very interesting title, the song In Your Home. Interestingly, this beat harks all the way back to pre-Chicago drill and the genre's original influences from Atlanta trap music, as the beat itself is just a slightly altered version of the original beat that Atlanta trap legend Young Jeezy used on his iconic track Trap or Die. But Jeff's modern day flow and subject matter regarding the Chicago streets in 2024 seems to completely breathe new life into this old beat, making for a song that still sounds modern despite actually being on a beat that was made in 2005. Like if you listen to a snippet of both songs back to back, the flow is so different it sounds like a whole new song. Once again, this is a song that seemingly describes the exact circumstances of Jeff's death. Jeff opens the track rapping, "Pulling up, hopping out while the car's still in drive, Vert hop out, Blitz F him up on both sides." Later rapping, "Last dude got chased all the way in his home." This is a crazy lyric as it shows the video where Jeff dies really wasn't the first time he had tried to chase somebody into their home trying to kill them. Ironically, this is the very thing he died trying to do. And people would post the lyrics in the comments saying that there's clearly no cap in Jeff's raps. Jeff would also diss Lil on this song and rap openly about the get back for Z Money. Commenters on this track on YouTube would praise the lyrics for being just straight up murder confessions. The next song, 9 with a 9, had a more modern day Chicago drill type beat with a haunting melody that sounded like it could be more at home on the next Lil Durk album. This was another aggressive anthem which included more bars seemingly aimed at Lil Rob and Monty, with Jeff rapping that a couple people died because of a watch. The next song, Here We Come, was another more modern beat with extremely violent content, with Jeff rapping about putting his ops on Spot News, referring to the deaths of Lil Rob and Monty once again, with more crazy lyrics where Jeff claimed to be able to count his bodies on 10 toes. Looking at the comments, this was seemingly the very demonic bars that fans were turning up for, but Jeff's delivery was so smooth, if you weren't paying attention you might not realize that he was rapping about having actually killed 10 people. On the next song titled Threat, Jeff opens the song with the same insane boast, rapping, "In my city I'm a threat, bitch I'm really up 10 hats." with comments laughing at just how crazy it is to start a song with this wild lyric saying you killed 10 people, and he follows it up by saying he has so many hats or kills that he should be sponsored by the hat brand Mitchell & Ness. Another crazy lyric would see Jeff rapping about killing someone and the video of them dying, saying that he watched it and knew it was him by his hat, and going on to rap back-to-back demonic bars, repeating his claim from the opening track that he had his ops screaming, going on to say, like, check the news, that dude dead, we really putting stuff to bed, and rapping, dropped his pictures on the net, his peoples had to see him dead. These were shocking and brutal lyrics, but they were truly the facts of the demonic life that Jeff was living, and ironically, he ended up on both sides of the gun. As some in the comments would explain, this song ironically saw Jeff describing his own death without even realizing it. Jeff probably didn't realize it, but his most demonic lyrics had an insane level of dramatic irony, as he personally lived the life he rapped about and ended up falling victim to it in the very same way. Some people called this the best song on the album. Another person left an interesting comment praising Jeff's content, saying, "Bro made some real posthumous music, especially considering the circumstance. It's the same story, and the guy screwed up letting him front head of a drill. He should have stayed out of Chicago. Bro would have been big. The music just hits different knowing who dude really was. This stuff's the definition of hard. Let's be honest, dude was really what Tupac rapped about and pretended to be," while others praised the production of the song. But the next...
I ain't gonna cap y'all. The whole, you feel me, BloodHound little shit, you feel me? I mean, R.I.P. little bro, but he a goofy for real. You feel me? It just be hard. I mean, I guess he a young nigga to me. So it's like, I mean, not that young, but 4 years or, man, 5 years or whatever. But yeah, he just was doing dumb shit. You feel me? There's no really other way to put it. You feel me? I don't know. I think it just be better the way, like, just being calm with it and taking your time. Like, bro, just running in people, like, what folks, I mean, you savage, but you, like, you know how some people can be, like, smart, savage, and then some just, like, dumb as hell. He, like, retarded. He one of them, you know? Because it's like, yo, what type, like, how you just let shit, like, you ain't got no, like... You know how motherfuckers, like, you can feel when something wrong or something, like, he ain't got none of that. Like, you know? But y'all leave y'all comments below what y'all thought about the video if y'all liked it. You feel me? I would appreciate that. Y'all subscribe. Till next time.